There are quiet nights when the city has fallen asleep, and you find yourself stepping onto your balcony or sitting by your window, gazing at the star-filled sky. In that stillness, a question softly arises within you. Who created all of this? You look up at the vast sky, then back at your own life, and you wonder, if there is no creator, why does the universe exist? Do I have any meaning in the middle of all this vastness? This question is not just ordinary curiosity. It is a deep longing, a gentle ache in the human heart that every one of us has felt, especially when we face the impermanence of life, when we lose someone we love, when illness comes unexpectedly, or when we feel small and fragile amidst the constant changes of this world. You are not alone in carrying this question. The Buddha himself once looked deeply at life with clear, compassionate eyes and saw birth, aging, sickness, and death touching all beings, whether they were kings or ordinary people, whether they believed in a creator or not. He understood well the human longing to find an answer, a point of rest for the heart. Dear friend, today on TT-Buddhism, we invite you to sit down, take a gentle breath, and return to listening to the Buddha's teachings, so we may understand this question not to find an answer that merely satisfies the mind, but to discover a sense of peace and calm in the heart, right here in each breath and each present moment. You may have heard many scientific perspectives about the universe, about the Big Bang, about theories of cosmic origins. You may also have heard religious perspectives about a creator, the hand of God, or a higher power guiding all things. And perhaps there still remains an emptiness, a lingering uncertainty within you, unsure of what to believe. Today, we invite you to stay with us until the end of this journey, to look deeply into this question, under the light of the Buddha's teachings, to see how this question can become a doorway to deeper understanding of yourself and of life, rather than a source of endless worry. You do not need to rush to find the answer, nor do you need to fear not having one. Simply sitting down, breathing gently, listening with openness, you have already begun an important step on the path to true peace. Part 1. The human longing before the universe. From a young age, we are taught that everything comes from someone. The house you live in was built by the hands of workers. The book you hold was written by an author. The clothes you wear were sewn by a tailor somewhere in the world. This gives us a deep belief that everything that exists must have a creator. And then, as we grow older, there are nights when you step outside and look up at the vast sky, seeing the quiet drifting of clouds, the gentle glow of the moon, and countless stars scattered across the darkness. In that moment, a question softly touches your heart. Who created all of this? This question is not wrong. It arises from a deep human desire to understand, to find a sense of safety and belonging in a universe that feels so vast and mysterious. During times of challenge, in moments of loss, or when we feel small amidst the changes of life, this question quietly returns, reminding us of our longing to know that there is something steady, something we can trust in. Perhaps you have wondered, who causes flowers to bloom in spring and leaves to fall in autumn? Who decides when the rain falls and the wind blows? Who placed the stars in the sky? And why do we live, grow old, and eventually leave this world behind? This question is not just a philosophical thought. It is a sign that there is still a spark of life within you, a quiet curiosity, and a longing to understand the deeper meaning of existence. The Buddha, in his years of gentle observation of the world with clear, compassionate eyes, saw deeply the arising and passing away of all things. He saw children being born and growing up, people aging and saying goodbye, flowers blooming and falling, rivers flowing without rest. He saw the truth of impermanence operating in every moment. And he understood this longing within the human heart, this quiet ache to know, where do we come from? Where does this universe come from? He never dismissed such questions, nor did he forbid us from asking them. The Buddha knew that we need a place to rest our faith, a way to understand, so we can walk steadily through the uncertainty of life. But you may also come to see that this question is not simply there to be answered to satisfy curiosity. It can also lead you back to yourself, back to a quiet place within, where you can take a deep breath, let go of your worries, and smile at life as it is in this moment. Because when you look up at the starry sky, what you are truly seeking is not only the identity of the creator of the stars, but a sense of ease in your heart, a gentle knowing that you are not lost in the vastness, that your life has meaning here and now. And this question, when held with mindfulness, with your breath and gentle awareness, can become a companion on your journey of practice and growth. Today, as we continue listening to the teachings of the Buddha, I invite you to keep this curiosity alive within you, to hold your longing to understand close to your heart, but with a quiet and open mind. You may find that every question can become a doorway back to peace when you know how to pause, breathe slowly, and listen deeply. Part 2. Perspectives of Religion and Science. When humans face the profound question, where does the universe come from? They have sought many ways to answer it. For thousands of years, many religions have held the belief that there is a creator who made everything. This idea has brought comfort and a sense of safety to people, the faith that there is a loving, wise, and powerful hand behind all that exists, caring for every form of life. When looking at blooming flowers, flowing streams, or the bright stars in the night sky, many feel that these are the works of a higher intelligence, an unconditional love, and this faith helps people feel that they are not alone in the vastness of the universe. For many, believing in a creator also gives life meaning. If someone created us, then surely this life has a purpose, a reason for being here, and we are not just insignificant specks of dust drifting through a vast, indifferent cosmos. On another path, modern science has also sought to answer this question, but using different methods. Scientists use telescopes, mathematics, and precise instruments to observe the universe, and they have proposed that the universe began with a Big Bang around 13.8 billion years ago, from a singular, strange point where energy, space, and time converged. This explosion created galaxies, stars, planets, and eventually, life on Earth. Stephen Hawking, one of the brilliant minds of our age, spoke about the universe forming from a nothing, rich with energetic potential, a state that was not nothingness in the absolute sense, but a foundational ground governed by physical laws that allowed the universe to arise without the toning need for a creator's hand. He suggested that if physical laws like gravity exist, then the universe could generate itself. Both religious faith in a creator and modern scientific inquiry are attempts to answer the question, where does the universe come from? And if we look deeply into these efforts, we see something profoundly human, a longing to understand, a wish to discover the truth, a yearning for a foundation on which to stand steady amidst the changes and uncertainties of life. Yet, whether in the realm of theism or modern science, there remain questions that are not fully answered. People ask, if there is a creator who made the universe, then who created the creator? If the universe began with the Big Bang, what existed before the Big Bang? If space and time began from a mysterious singularity, where did that point come from, and why does it exist? Science continues to investigate these mysteries, and religions continue to protect and nurture faith in a creator. However, there is a quiet truth. Regardless of whether we believe in a creator, regardless of whether we fully understand the laws of physics, we still face the deeply human realities of birth, aging, sickness, and death, of experiencing joy and suffering, loss and hope, fear and longing. It is precisely here that Buddhism walks a different path. Buddhism does not deny the efforts of science or the faith of other religions. Instead, Buddhism gently invites us to turn the question from the outside toward the inside. Instead of asking, who created the universe? Buddhism invites us to ask, what conditions allow this moment to arise? What causes have brought me to be here right now? Why do I suffer, and how can I end this suffering? For in Buddhism, the question, who created the universe, may not lead us toward liberation or bring us peace if we only seek an intellectual answer without looking into the suffering and attachments we carry within our hearts. Buddhism does not dismiss human curiosity or the desire to understand. Rather, it gently shows us that there are questions that are even more essential for our lives. Questions about suffering and the path that leads to its end. The universe may have begun with a Big Bang. It may have been created by a divine being. It may have arisen from subtle conditions we cannot yet fully comprehend. But what truly matters is, how will we live this life that we have right now? How will we love and understand ourselves and others? How will we face impermanence and death with wisdom and compassion? And this is what the Buddha invited us to practice. To pause, to breathe, to recognize, to observe deeply, and to understand life more clearly, right here in each breath, in each step, in every joy and sorrow we experience. Through this gentle shift of perspective, Buddhism brings us back to the present moment, where we can find peace and clarity, not by chasing abstract answers endlessly, but by living deeply and mindfully, transforming our suffering, and discovering a freedom that does not depend on any belief or theory. Part 3. What did the Buddha point out as truly important? When people carry within themselves the question, who created this universe? Where did everything begin? The Buddha smiled, listened deeply, and understood the quiet longing within the human heart. He shared a gentle yet profound story, recorded in the Kulyamalukya Sutta. He spoke of a man who was struck by a poisoned arrow, but instead of allowing others to remove the arrow and treat his wound, the man insisted on knowing, who shot this arrow? What caste is he from? What kind of wood is the arrow made of? What bird's feathers were used for the fletching? What is the bowstring made of? Because he was so caught up in these questions, the man died before he ever received the answers. Through this story, the Buddha taught, there are questions that are not wrong, but they are not truly necessary for the path of ending suffering. Because even if one knew who shot the arrow, what the arrow was made of, or where the bow came from, he would still die if the arrow was not removed in time. In the same way, even if we know where the universe began, who created it, or how it was formed, we still face aging, sickness, death, loss, fear, and suffering if we do not know how to transform our suffering in this very life. Why then did the Buddha not directly answer questions about the origin of the universe? Because he saw clearly, these questions are not wrong, but they do not help us end suffering or lead us to true peace. They may nourish curiosity and intellectual exploration, but if we do not look deeply into our suffering or understand how to transform it, even the most profound answers cannot bring us lasting freedom. The Buddha gently invited us to return to the observation of the present moment, where such questions become a live not as abstract ideas, but as mirrors reflecting our life right now. Because when we sit down, breathe gently, and observe the breath going in and out, we can see that the universe is operating within this very breath. We can see each emotion, each thought arising and passing, like clouds drifting across the sky. And we realize that understanding the universe is not only about understanding how stars are formed, but also about seeing how suffering and attachment arise and dissolve within us. The Buddha walked a different path, a path of understanding and compassion, when he invited us to return to each step, each breath, each present moment, to live deeply, to let go of unnecessary worries, and to nourish peace and freedom in our daily life. And this is the Buddha's answer. Instead of endlessly chasing questions without end, return, observe, live deeply, and find a way to end suffering within this very life. Because when suffering ends, peace will naturally appear. And when peace is present, the question of the universe finds its quiet answer within the stillness and understanding of your own heart. Part 4. The Buddhist view of the universe. No single beginning. When speaking about the origin of the universe, Buddhism does not deny that the universe has causes. What is unique in the Buddhist perspective is that it does not claim there is a single, absolute cause that created everything. The Buddha once shared, it is beyond human thought to pinpoint the beginning of this cycle of existence. This does not mean that things happen randomly or without cause. Instead, it shows us that all things and phenomena arise together, supported by countless conditions, operating continuously without a single fixed starting point that we can grasp with the ordinary mind. Buddhism teaches, this exists because that exists, this arises because that arises. The universe and all phenomena are formed through the interaction and support of countless conditions, never existing independently, never coming into being from a single act of creation, nor appearing from nothing. You can imagine this like a wave on the ocean. A wave does not appear from nothing, nor is it created instantly by a single person. It arises because of the wind, the water, the gravitational pull of the moon, the movement of currents, and many other factors coming together. When these conditions are sufficient, the wave forms. When the conditions change, the wave dissolves. Yet, the water remains, the wind continues, and life goes on. Similarly, the universe is a continuous process of arising, changing, and dissolving through the interplay of many conditions, not the product of a supreme being, creating it once and then stepping away, nor something that simply appears without cause. In many of his teachings, the Buddha emphasized, if this does not exist, that cannot exist. If this ceases, that also ceases. This teaches us that everything is deeply connected, nothing exists in isolation, and there is no fixed point of origin for everything. What is beautiful is that modern science is moving closer to this perspective. Modern physics has discovered that what we call matter does not exist as solid, separate objects, but as relationships, patterns of energy, and vibrations that depend on observation and conditions around them. Scientists have realized that particles do not exist independently before being observed. Their position and state depend on interaction and surrounding conditions. This aligns with the Buddhist insight that nothing exists independently. Everything exists due to interactions and mutual support. Seeing the universe in this way, we no longer view it as a massive machine created once and left to run. We begin to see the universe as a living, dynamic, ever-changing process, alive in each moment. More importantly, understanding how the universe operates through interdependent conditions teaches us to let go of the need to find a single starting point to cling to. Instead, we can turn inward, return to our breath, to each step we take, to each moment unfolding in the present, and learn to live deeply and mindfully. Because the universe does not need a single beginning to exist, just as you do not need to know where you came from in order to live freely, peacefully, and fully in this present moment. Part 5. The Universe of Karma. A living, ever-flowing universe. The Buddha saw clearly that this universe is not controlled or decided by a higher being who dictates the fate of all beings. Instead, the universe we live in is the result of the actions, thoughts, and words of countless beings across countless lifetimes, weaving together to form different realms, living conditions, and the unique experiences of each person. There is no external judge recording merits or faults to reward or punish us. There is only the quiet, precise operation of cause and effect, like a seed that, when meeting the right soil, water, sunlight, and air, will sprout, grow into a tree, and eventually flower and bear fruit. In the same way, every action, every word, every thought we have is a seed we are planting in the soil of our lives. When we plant seeds of understanding, love, and gratitude, the fruits of peace and happiness will gradually manifest in our lives. When we plant seeds of greed, anger, resentment, and confusion, sooner or later, we will have to harvest the fruits of suffering and unrest. The Buddha saw the universe as a living, ever-flowing stream, constantly moving and changing, where every action, thought, and word we produce creates ripples that affect not only our own lives but also the world around us. You can imagine it like a still pond. When you drop a pebble into the water, ripples spread across the surface. Even a small pebble creates waves that touch every part of the pond. Similarly, every kind thought or harmful thought, every loving word or harsh word, every act of generosity or selfishness sends ripples into the universe, shaping our circumstances, our state of mind, and the course of our lives. Understanding this, we begin to see that we are not simply victims of fate, but co-creators of the universe in which we live. Each day that passes, we are creating our own universe, a universe of peace, understanding, and love, or a universe of anger, fear, and suffering. And it is this understanding that can help us wake up, return to our breath, and come back to our thoughts, words, and actions so that we can choose to plant wholesome seeds in each moment. Because when you plant seeds of mindfulness and love, the universe you live in also becomes a universe of peace and freedom. The universe is always flowing, always moving, and we are a part of this movement. Let us choose to live in such a way that every step we take, every breath we breathe, and every action we perform becomes a continuation of peace and happiness. Part 6. Letting go of questions to live fully in the present. There are quiet nights when, looking up at the starry sky, we gently ask ourselves, who created this universe? Where did it all begin? These questions are not wrong. They reflect our curiosity, our thirst for understanding, and our need for something steady to hold on to in a world that often feels uncertain. But have you ever noticed that, whether we find the answer or not, whether we know who created the universe or not, we still face the deeply human truths of life? We are born, we grow up, we experience illness, we age, and one day we pass away. Whether we know the answers or not, we still have to learn to love and let go, to embrace happiness and suffering, to live with hope and fear, day after day in the impermanence of life. This is why a more important question we need to ask ourselves is, how will I live this precious life I have? What will I do with the time I have here on earth? The Buddha once said, "I only teach one thing, suffering and the path to the end of suffering." He did not demand that we abandon our questions about the universe or force us to believe blindly in anything. Instead, he gently reminded us that the more important task is to learn how to live with understanding, with love, and with freedom in each fleeting moment of our lives. We can begin by coming back to our breath. The breath is the thread that connects us to life, a bridge that brings us back to the present moment, where there is no regret over the past and no fear of the future. Whenever we feel restless, tired, or anxious, we can pause, take a deep breath in, breathe out slowly, and offer ourselves a gentle smile. A mindful breath can become a steady refuge, allowing us to rest in the middle of life's storms. We can also learn to recognize and embrace our emotions. When anger, sadness, or worry arises, we do not need to run away, suppress them, or blame ourselves for having them. We can simply place a hand on our heart, breathe gently, and whisper to ourselves, "Hello, sadness, I know you are here. Hello, anger, I see you are present." By acknowledging our emotions with kindness, they will gradually calm down, and we will understand ourselves more deeply. Living fully in the present also means living with mindfulness. Mindfulness is not something far away or difficult to practice. Mindfulness is simply being aware of what we are doing, what we are thinking, and what we are feeling in the present moment. When we wash the dishes, we know we are washing the dishes. When we drink tea, we know we are drinking tea. When we walk, we feel each step touching the earth, our breath flowing in and out. Each small action, when done with presence, becomes a profound practice that brings us back to ourselves. In addition, practicing loving kindness helps us cultivate a soft, open heart, allowing us to love ourselves and others. When we care for ourselves, recognizing our own struggles and vulnerabilities without blame or harshness, we open our hearts to others more easily. Everyone has their own difficulties, their own quiet battles. A gentle word, a compassionate look, a sincere smile can become a medicine that soothes a tired heart. Keeping the 5 precepts is also a way to live fully and protect the peace within. Keeping the precepts is not about restricting or punishing ourselves. It is a way to protect our inner peace, to avoid unnecessary regret and worry. When we refrain from harming others, from dishonesty, from greed, and from falling into harmful habits, we nurture freedom and stability within our hearts. By practicing mindful breathing, recognizing emotions, living with mindfulness, cultivating loving kindness, and keeping the precepts, we are learning to live fully in each moment of this life, regardless of what the answers to the universe may be. Because the most important question is not, who created the universe, but, am I living fully and deeply in each moment that I am alive? You do not need to wait until you find the answers to the big questions before you can live in peace. You can begin right now, with a gentle breath, a mindful step, a smile of gratitude, and a soft awareness of life as it is. The vast universe out there is always moving and transforming, but the small universe within you is also moving and transforming with each breath. When you know how to cultivate mindfulness, understanding, and love within yourself, that inner universe becomes calm, light, and peaceful, allowing you to live freely and joyfully amid the constant changes of life. As we walk through this vast life, the question, who created the universe, often gently arises within us, reminding us of how small we are in the face of an immense cosmos. Buddhism does not dismiss the beauty of this question. In truth, such a question reflects our longing to understand, to feel connected, and to find a place of refuge within the uncertainties of life. Yet the Buddha offered us another direction. Instead of endlessly seeking an answer outside ourselves, he invited us to turn inward, to practice recognizing the suffering within us, to cultivate peace in each breath, and to let go of clinging and unnecessary grasping. Because whether or not we find the answer to who created the universe, we will still face the reality that life is fragile and impermanent. And what truly matters is how we live each moment we are given, how we choose to love, to understand, and to nurture peace within our daily lives. You do not need to know all the mysteries of the universe to live a joyful and peaceful life. All you need to do is pause, take a gentle breath, smile softly to yourself, and walk with ease along the path you travel each day. In doing so, you are already in harmony with the deep and wondrous rhythm of the universe. Dear friend, if this sharing has helped you breathe a little more lightly, helped you understand the Buddha's teachings more deeply, or offered you a quiet moment to return to yourself, we warmly invite you to like, share this video, and subscribe to TT-Buddhism so that we may continue to walk together on this path of mindfulness, learning to live peacefully and freely with each breath, each step, in the midst of life's impermanence. May you continue to walk in peace, recognizing the miracle of life in each breath, so that each passing day is no longer just a hurried day, but a blossoming flower of mindfulness within your heart. And when that flower blooms, you will see that you are not separate from this universe, but a precious part of the wondrous flow of life, breathing and moving together with all beings. Wishing you a peaceful day.